Hello, everybody. I hope that you'll join myself and special guest host Dustin Cormier this coming Wednesday, the 26th of January, 7:30 p.m. London time, for the first ever edition of the Galactic Lounge Live, which will be your call-in show for astrological and spiritual related topics, where you can call in and ask questions live during the call-in portion. Information on how to watch us live is going to be down in the description area below. So sometimes all it takes is one little nudge to make you recognize that you've been pushed too far. Sometimes all it takes is one little sliver of truth to be revealed before you recognize how you've had your eyes closed to something that perhaps you shouldn't have been ignoring at all. When there's an elephant in the room, can you really ignore that? But it's amazing how, when you have your eyes closed, purposefully perhaps, to something for a really long period of time, how you kind of become accustomed to that. You can almost pretend or not even see the elephant that's in the room. As a matter of fact, you might even begin to believe that the room is completely devoid of elephants, not elements. Anyway, in either instance, you can pretty much begin to believe that there's nothing there. It's just a regular room. Don't worry about those loud noises that you hear or the floor vibrating beneath you. That's absolutely nothing. Perhaps maybe a little bit of noise from the neighbor. But wake up. Snap out of the trance that you've been in this particular situation and recognize that you've been allowing yourself to be subjected to something for a very long period of time that perhaps you should not have been allowing yourself to be subjected to after all. Now, over the recent weeks, whilst Venus has been in its retrograde motion through Purva Ashadha Nakshatra, you've likely been having a period of recognizing, this is something that I really value in my life. This is something that no longer serves a purpose, and perhaps I've just been kind of trying to be okay with for a certain period of time. You don't have to do that anymore. You didn't have to do it in the first place. You just felt that it was the wisest thing to do at that particular moment in time. But you know what? It didn't serve you. And no, it's not self-serving to make sure that your life is okay and that your life can be in a state where, it's enjoyable and it has a level of enrichment to it. So now it's the period of time where you're awakening to just how wrong something has been in one area of your life and just how much you're ready to create a change in that very same area of life. Now, what might this relate to for you? That's going to be dependent upon many different factors. Where Venus is transiting in your horoscope along with Mars, what planets they're kind of connecting to in your personal horoscope, many different things. And if you could use a little bit of help understanding this particular transit, I do offer several different levels of astrological service. And as a matter of fact, my several consultation packages are now available with payment plans. You can find out more at the link above. So in either instance, a slow awakening has been taking place. A slow awakening that perhaps has been making you recognize that you've been pretending. A slow awakening that's just been helping you to recognize perhaps how asleep you've been. And all it takes, just like in the middle of the night when you're resting and suddenly there's just like this tiny drip of the faucet that's going on in the next room, boom, you start going, oh God, I can't go back to sleep anymore. That's just driving me absolutely bonkers, and I need to go do something about it. Well, now is the time that you do something about it. So on the 29th of January, and it doesn't mean all this is going to take place on that day. This is when like an intense level of this aspect is in place, because what's going to take place is Venus is going to station, before it turns back to its direct motion as it's joining Mars, both of those planets in Purva Ashadha Nakshatra. Now, if you look a little bit, pardon me, at the outer planets in association with Vedic astrology, Uranus is over in Bharani Nakshatra. Now, there's a connection between those particular nakshatras. Purva Ashadha can give you the invigoration that you need to create the necessary changes. Bharani can really help to empower the shift. But both of these nakshatras are Ugra, which means cruel, and Krura, which means cruel, and Ugra, which means intense. So intense passion is arising to the surface, and maybe one part of you goes, well, I don't like that kind of level of intensity in my life. Sometimes we need it. As a matter of fact, I've been getting a lot of emails and messages about many people going through really dark periods of time and, confronting deep depression. Quite often, depression can be related to repressed rage. And if you think about several areas of your life and how you've been perhaps keeping a lot of things beneath the surface and just accepting the status quo when perhaps you shouldn't have been accepting the status quo, is it any wonder that you feel depressed? So as this energy is aligning between Mars and Venus, Mercury in its retrograde motion through Uttada Ashadha Nakshatra is going to be joining with Pluto. That in itself is a revelation of a deeper layer of something that perhaps helps you to go, okay, one nudge is just a nudge too far. I've been keeping myself repressed. I've been towing the line when perhaps I shouldn't be towing the line. And now perhaps it's time for you not to ignore that little desire that's arising inside of you. Now, I'm not talking about the one that's saying to go into the kitchen and raid the cupboard and eat all the cookies, but hey, maybe that one's not a bad one too. But I am talking about the one that's going, hey, you know what? My life deserves to be better. I deserve to have more enrichment in my life. I deserve to live in alignment with what feels right and true inside of me. And Purva Ashadha Nakshatra has this deep connection to authenticity. It's connected to a water deity, Apa. And if you imagine the concept of where the ocean meets the shore, being related to the nature of your soul as it meets your conscious awareness, you have a good understanding of this energy. Now, occasionally, that energy, as it's coming to reach the shore, becomes emotionally turbulent. And that usually happens when the person is out of alignment to a certain degree with what they're really supposed to be doing in their life. Now that sounds really confusing because we're always doing what we're really supposed to be doing, even if we're out of alignment with ourselves. But usually when that's going on, it's so we can wake up to the fact that we need to become more deeply connected to that part of our soul that'll make us feel not so out of alignment. So it's all a growing process, right? You could even say these last several weeks that you've been through, it's not necessarily that you're to blame for, feeling that you had to toe the line or just accepting what it was that you felt that you had to accept when you really didn't. Then, it's not that you're to fault for any of those things. But now is your opportunity to awaken and take steps to create better change in your life as the universal energies are really supporting that change. And if you could use a little bit of help with that process, again, I do offer several different levels of astrological service. All of these are available through the astrological services page of my website. And again, if you're interested in scheduling with me, you can always do that at the link you'll see above. That's going to do it for this look at Venus's station in Purva Ashadha Nakshatra whilst it's joining Mars on the 29th of January 2022. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye.